Here's a tutorial on a really useful exercise. This is from FingerPower Anthology, which actually includes all of the books combined, which is super cool. This is actually from level 3 of the set, number 7 within level 3, called the hand stretching technique. I just call this the arpeggio technique, 1 octave per hand. So we're going to dive into how to go about with the hands in particular for these arpeggios and prepping motions to help you with the ascending and the descending exercise within this technique. So to start off, I usually just like to start with right hand. And this is following the standard fingering for a 1 octave arpeggio. So starting on C major, middle C as a reference here. Just getting used to this motion of having your wrist follow the contour of the notes as you're going up to that pinky. And at the same time, you're getting used to the spacing between your 1 finger, 2, and 3 in particular with those skips. And then I'm going to go up to D, E, pause, F, G, A, B, and then here's the last one, C. So while you're pausing in between those right hand arpeggios, in this technique piece, you have 2 beats of rest before you move on to the next arpeggio. Rest, 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 rest. So notice what I'm doing with my thumb in particular. Rest, rest. So I'm kind of keeping that same shape as what I started with, but I'm shifting my thumb to the next note very quickly. So soon after I complete that pinky last note, I'm already ready to go with that thumb on the step up above where I started. D, prep. E, prep, etc. F, prep. So that's really going to help you, especially when you do both hands together. Let's talk about the descending pattern really quick. So once you reach treble C, then it's going to go backwards for the descending part. Then you're going to prep that pinky. Rest, rest. Rest, rest. F is next. And follow the contour. Allow that wrist to go down to the thumb. Following the thumb. And that's concluding the right hand part. Moving over to left hand. So for this exercise, it's showing here that the descending arpeggio for left hand is approached with a 1, 2, 4, 5. But thinking back to how do you normally do a C major arpeggio on the white keys for the ascending. So keeping in mind, if you're doing 5, 3, 2, 1 for a normal arpeggio, up and down, I would suggest using that fingering instead of what's written here with the 1, 2, 4, 5. I personally use 1, 2, 4, 5, but feel free to use 1, 2, 3, 5 if that's what you're used to doing for like C major, F major, G major, anytime you have an arpeggio with just white keys for the 1 octave. So for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do what's written here, but feel free to use the 1, 2, 3, 5 if you're used to that. Okay, so we have on beat 3 on the first measure, rest, 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 rest. So same prepping as we did with the right hand. G, A, B, and here's our last one. And then for the descending version, still starting on beat 3, same fingering, 5, 4, 2, 1, rest, rest. So shift that pinky right away, down a step, rest, 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 last one. One thing to note here for either right hand or left hand, you don't want to get into the habit of coming out into what I call the shark zone. Shark's gonna get you, so we don't want that. So instead, you're just gonna keep it somewhat hovering over the keys as best as you can. Similarly with the right hand, just kind of keep it close instead of way down here, because that is a tendency to want to come out here or here. So definitely keep that in mind as you're doing the both hands, which leads me to talk about both hands. So for the opening, it's going to be, thumbs are going to be sharing on that note, but keeping in mind it's right and then left, so you don't have to worry about the colliding of the thumbs. So slow motion with firm touch. Last one, and then we're going to go right into the descending. A, F, let that wrist follow, wrist going up, wrist going down, and that's it for that exercise. Another thing to note, aside from the thumbs going in the shark zone, is another tendency that students have is to hold on for dear life. Like really holding on, or even just the top note, because you're trying to keep track of where your hands are, right? But definitely don't get into the habit of holding any notes. It's just one after the other. So focusing more on the prepping of the next hand. In addition, there is pedaling written here, which for my students, I just have them do that as an optional thing. But if you wanted to add it in, so thinking of our pedaling technique, when you get to the left hand in particular, it's going to be note first and then pedal. And then when you hit right hand, pedal comes off. Note, foot. Off, etc. I would definitely just practice the left hand with pedal only to get used to that coordination before you try doing pedal with both hands. But this exercise is pretty good without pedaling. So really getting comfortable with those 1-octave arpeggios. As a warm-up, aside from doing this as written, you could do try that version as well, where I'm just going up and down together at the same time. And another practice could be accenting, if you really want it, or swing. To kind of spice things up a little bit. One last thing you could attempt for practicing this piece is trying to do right hand separate without looking down. Because if you're really comfortable with that shaping of the 1-octave, all you're really doing is just moving that pattern up a step each time. Similarly with the descending, just going down a step each time. And then with the left hand as well. So you technically don't really need to look down too much. So that could be a challenge that you could add to your practice.